picture in your mind an investment banker or a stockbroker. And I can probably say with a good degree of certainty that the picture in your mind will have been of a man. And if I said do the same for a crypto investor, the same would apply. And we know for a fact that financial industries and sectors are dominated by men. And so what I'd like to talk about in this video is specifically about the crypto space. And what I want to do is really start to think about the discussions that we could be having when it comes to trying to involve more women in crypto. And so in this video, I'd like to present to you very briefly 3 areas or 3 reasons why I believe it's really important to get more women involved in crypto. So let's go.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah.
Today's tip of choice, it was a no-brainer actually. I've introduced you to this brew before. It's my favourite, what I would call standard tea. It's Yorkshire tea. And it's just strong and reliable. And I just felt the subject of today's video, it needed Yorkshire tea, so that's what we're having. But while I'm, drinking my little cup of tea, I want you to admire these. Look at this beautiful bouquet that was given to me a couple of days ago. And not just the look of them, the scent that is coming off these flowers is quite magnificent. So, my dear friend, you don't just come here to watch a YouTube video. You come here for a 360-degree experience. So before you do anything else, please show your appreciation by hitting that subscribe button. And whilst we're on the subject of support, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee page. The link is below. If you enjoy my content and wanted to visit that, then I'd be very, very appreciative. So it also comes to the point in the video where I say I am not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice. I am here to have a cozy chat with you about crypto over a gorgeous cup of tea. So let's get on with it. Just before speaking about the 3 areas that I want to touch on, I did just want to throw out just a very small number of caveats before you watch this video. This video actually is not just meant for women, it's meant for men as well. And actually, men, I need you to watch this video, because if we are going to make changes in our environment, then it has to come from the men actually. And so it's important for you to understand that this video in no way, shape or form is meant to criticize men or spread man hate. I need you on board. But some of this might be a little bit tough for you to hear because it is from my perspective, from a woman's perspective. The second thing I want to say is I realize that this video is positioning gender as man or woman. It's very black and white. And of course, this is 2022 and the gender landscape is anything but simple. And I do acknowledge that it's a very complex thing to talk about. What I would say is that this is a video from my perspective as a woman, as a female, and that's what I will be presenting. However, I guess ultimately what I am saying is that I feel very strongly that the crypto environment needs to be more diverse. And coming from my perspective as a woman, that's just one very small part of diversity. So I acknowledge there's a much wider piece here, even when we're speaking about gender. But I'm not necessarily going to cover that today. I'm covering my perspective, which is as a woman. I guess just a further caveat is that I realise that this video will contain some very generic, probably stereotypical type statements. What I'm trying to do is just summarise what I believe to be the challenge here. But, the last thing I want to do again is to offend any individuals, particularly men who might be saying, but I don't act like that, that's not me. I get that. But again, this is me trying to give a summary from my perspective of how it feels to be a woman in crypto. So I think I've established the fact that I think there should be more females in the crypto space. But why is that? Well, here are my 3 major reasons. I would say, again, and I guess another caveat, that the reasons I'm going to talk about, there's each one of those I could speak about for hours. These are just headlines, and I'm hoping that this is my first real video about addressing this matter, but future videos, perhaps I will dive a little bit deeper into some of these areas and plenty more. But these are just my starters for 10, I guess. So number 1 is actually the business case. It's difficult to know exactly how many women are involved in the crypto space, partly because, of course, one aspect of crypto is that many identities are anonymized, and so I think it's very difficult to know for certain facts and figures about this subject. If you are a business owner and you own a business on a high street, if you're aware that, you know, the vast majority of people coming into your shop are male, you might sit and think, well, that's interesting. What's going on there, and why aren't females coming into my shop? Because what it translates into, of course, if we're talking about the business case, is a loss of revenue or a loss of potential revenue. And with so few females involved in the crypto space, think of the potential opportunity of additional investments if women could be attracted to the crypto space. So it makes business sense. And just to add a slightly separate perspective in terms of the business case, we know again from the real world that diversity of all kinds is incredibly important for taking forward any type of business. And certainly gender diversity, it has been proved, does lead to much more informed and balanced decision making. So if we take those 2 perspectives together and think about how they might be applied to a particular crypto project, more women are involved, so you have additional investment opportunity. But as part of the community, the females are also offering their thoughts, their insights, their opinions. And so potentially that community is going to make much more balanced decisions. So from what I can see, isn't it a win-win situation? So moving on to point number 2, and that is about the different characteristics that women bring to the investing area. And research shows us that even beyond crypto, women and men are very different investors and bring different strengths to the table. Although it's understood that women are more risk averse than men and often lack the confidence to jump into something, actually, if we turn that on its head, research also tells us that women are much more likely to spend longer researching the hows, the whys, the wherefores of something before committing themselves to it. But once they have done that research and they are content and confident, then they are more likely to commit to it in the longer term. And when we think about a cryptocurrency project, and certainly my favorite one at the moment, which is Safuu, that's absolutely built around holding in that project and benefiting from the time spent in that project. So I guess to summarize that, once a woman is on board, she is far more likely to remain loyal to that project than perhaps a man in the same circumstances. And following on from that train of thought, I think there's clearly something about women being more disciplined in their investment and actually holding tight to a framework or a strategy. So when they're considering whether they should jump into something or not, they're actually more likely to be looking for something in the long term, so something that's going to give them a long-term goal as opposed to perhaps something very short-term or very short-lived. And in order to do that, they will formulate, or they're more likely to formulate a strategy and to adhere to that strategy. So I think, sometimes, and again, to apply this to crypto, we see the price diving suddenly one day and there's kind of a little bit of chaos and panic and people are selling and, what's going to happen? But if there is a strategy there and you're holding tight to it, you're less likely to act in that way, and you're much more likely to just hold tight and look at the longer term picture. And again, research shows us that actually women are more typically likely to do that. So I guess in summary of this point, I guess I'm recognizing that if we could add those particular qualities and strength into our environment, then wouldn't that benefit the whole space? Because community members influence each other, and so bringing that different perspective, those different strengths, I think could benefit everybody. And the third area that I'd like to speak about, and perhaps the most controversial, is the culture that exists within the crypto ecosystem, which I personally feel needs to change, and introducing more women into the space could be incredibly beneficial. Now, I just want to make it clear, because all of my videos to date have been specifically about Safuu, but what I'm about to say goes way beyond Safuu, and actually I would not include necessarily Safuu in what I'm about to say, and I will come back to that in a couple of minutes. But generally, I've been involved in probably 5 or 6 crypto projects altogether, so not loads and loads, but I have been in many different Discord communities and been involved in different discussions. And I guess I would describe the current culture within crypto as being like a boys' club, because it is a boys' club. It's dominated by men, of course, but then that brings a certain set of behaviours with it that I don't think benefits anybody. And again, I am making very general statements here, and I know there will be men shouting at the screen saying, but I don't do that. I get that. Unfortunately, though, some men do act in this way, and act in with clear misogyny and with a clear sexist attitude, which, I'll be honest, quite frankly, in 2022 has no place anywhere. And I just feel that a conscious effort to introduce more women into a community will start in the long term to remedy that culture. I guess the question might be, but why is that an issue? Well, I think it is an issue because actually what I see, if we look at more the macro environment of crypto, it's incredibly competitive. There's very little collaboration between projects, and actually I'd go to the extreme of saying if you're in a particular project, you cannot be seen to support another project. And I just think that we know again from the real world that collaboration is so important, and yet in the crypto space it seems that the only way to grow bigger is to squash others down. And I just don't see how that is of any benefit to the crypto environment or ecosystem at all. It's just not taking us forward. And so although that's the macro environment, I see that within specific projects as well. And I just feel like it's a bit of an echo chamber with men shouting into it and only hearing the opinions of men. And I just think it so restricts the growth of absolutely anything within the space, and it can't be a positive force to take us forward. It just can't be. So they are really a really brief summary of 3 reasons why I really think it's important that we at least think about how to include women in the crypto space. I did though want to touch on my favourite project at the moment, Safuu, of course, because I do think that I see sprigs of growth there that are really encouraging in terms of this whole agenda. And I guess, I am coming from my own personal experience. I'm coming from being a female investor in this project, and I am speaking about the encouragement actually that I have been given. And I think there's two sides to that. One of them is I'm speaking to you now on my YouTube channel, which was actually, I was encouraged just as an investor of Safuu to think about this. But once it was found that I was a woman, a female, I was given even more encouragement to have my voice and make it heard. So much so that, in a previous video I covered that I've been picked to go to Dubai as one of the community members, which for me personally speaks volume. I have no idea whether me being female played into that agenda. I guess it doesn't matter. The fact is that I am going to be there, and I'm going to look different than, many of the investors there. I think this is something of great value to me in being invited to go to Dubai. But secondly, I'm not saying that the Safuu Discord community is without its issues. And certainly I have witnessed, I wouldn't say misogynistic, but I would definitely say sexist comments. And I've been party to some of those. And certainly, give an example a few days ago, something really quite disgusting was said to be in the forum. But you know what? Before I could even kind of get to my keyboard, other male members of the community had shot that person down, and actually he was banned within the next 2 minutes. So I think we do have a community within Safuu that is very forward thinking in this whole respect, and is incredibly supportive in the absolute majority of community members, probably 99%, incredibly supportive of me being there as a female with a voice. And I would say that perhaps the 1% that doesn't appreciate that is actually stamped on very, very quickly, and I appreciate that hugely. So this is a huge thing to talk about, and it's kind of where does this whole thing leave us? Well, I think what I'd like to say is, if you're a man watching this, you're in the crypto space and you're watching this, I think two things. If you believe in what I'm saying also, then I would really urge you to share this video with your female friends, family members, your mother, your sister, your cousins, whoever. If my video can encourage even some women to think about getting into this space, because let's face it, why should all the boys have all the fun? What about the earning potential of our women? But if you can show them this video, please share it and show that, certainly there's support there for them coming into the space. But secondly, I want to hear your views. Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think? What do you think you can do if you believe in this? What can you do to help? If you are female and watching this, then I'd love to hear your thoughts. Does any of this ring true with you if you're already an investor? Have you found barriers to engaging in this space? If you're a female looking at this thinking, I'd really want to get into crypto, then take me as an example. I'm a 50-something-year-old woman who has entered this space and is potentially changing my life in this space. Please, if you have any interest, do engage, do get involved. Come into Safuu, join the Discord, and look me up and we can have a chat. I'm more than happy to chat to anybody who's interested in this agenda, but interested in the Safuu project. And as I've said, I find the environment quite conducive to being a female in there. So it's a great place to start. And actually, in terms of the project itself, it's, I believe, absolutely suited to the strengths that women bring to investing. It's suited to have a strategy to hold and to build your long-term wealth. And I think that's attracted to anybody, whether you're male or female, but certainly plays into the female agenda. So yeah, come and join me. So I kind of feel like I whittled on there a little bit, so I'm going to draw a close to this video. I really appreciate you coming to the end with me, and I said I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole thing, but I do have to say goodbye now. I do hope I see you in the next video, but as always, in the meantime, stay safe, and cheers.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.